We're in Swindon, outside this quirky end of terrace house, one of many hundreds, thousands of terraced houses in and around Swindon that basically all need improvement works. They all need to be made much more energy efficient to cut down fuel bills, because many people in Swindon will be in fuel poverty, especially since the recent increases in gas electricity prices. We're going to use portable fan equipment to apply pressure to this house to find out where it leaks. We're looking for warm air escaping, which obviously increases fuel bills, but also for cold drafts coming in, which will make people uncomfortable. And we're doing this test to demonstrate to the owner, to demonstrate to local residents, to demonstrate to the local authority the potential of air tightness testing.
Well, the house, I bought it a couple of years ago. It's about 110 years old. A bit of it is an end terrace, 2 up, 2 down. And then built into it at the time of original construction was a 1 up, 1 down. And then the quirkiest bit of all is a front porch that apparently was the waiting area for a grocery shop. A lot of internal work was needed, a lot of running water, a lot of running damp. By the time we'd gone back to the brick and discovered that the floor that I'm sitting on was rotten and all the trusses were gone, it sort of begged the issue of restoring half the house. That's all I could afford. And then out of that struck the idea to go a bit further and do a lot of insulation, improving its airtightness and energy efficiency. Good news and bad news, the way the house has changed. The good news is on the side of the house that the energy efficiency work has been done, sort of warms up quicker and stays a bit snugger. And by that I mean like all day. The other side of the house is, if you like, old style and a bit blowy, as I'm sure the test will reveal.
So our fan is in the doorway, it's blowing air into this house, which we're testing. I'm imposing at the moment a pressure of just over 60 pascals. 10 pascals is 1 millimetre of water, so 60 pascals is about 6 millimetres of water. It's about the same, slightly more than a 20-mile-an-hour wind acting upon this house. And this really would be my first reading, and I'd take a series of readings. The minimum number required is 7, might take 10 or 12 to establish basically how leaky this dwelling is, and that will compare with the building regs targets, or if it was a low energy house for a passive house, or AECB standard target, in this case pre-improvement number. But then you might do the same test when you've finished works to see what difference you've made, to make sure you've improved it to a high enough standard.
I'd be interested to see if my hazarding of where the weaknesses are sort of true-ish. So how bad is that double glazed window fitted? How leaky are the bits of the double glazing window that open? How much heat, energy, money is whistling up that chimney?
We've taken the readings, we've come inside in the warm, and I've now put them in the software. And the thing I have to do now is press the button that says calculate. Doo-doof. So that's an air permeability, which is the unit used in the building regulations of 10.6. The maximum in the building regulations for a house built today is 10. So this almost meets current building regulations. Would have been interesting to know what it was before next door was done. And the other thing we measure is the air change rate, and that's 11.9. So if you think that passive house target is 0.6, that's 20 times worse than passive house. This one here, 1097, that's the effective hole size. Or, I mean, it's not one hole, but the effective hole size, if all the hole was put together in one hole, it's just under 1100 square centimetres. So that's a hole that's basically a metre wide by 11 centimetres high. So that would mean 5 minutes into the hour, after only 5 minutes, if there's a 20-mile-an-hour wind, your hot air's gone, and your heating is having to work to catch up.
Well, I certainly experienced that on this half of the house.
Yeah.
When I go to the other side where work's been done, it feels different and more comfy. And I've got a temperature gauge there that stays better. and when I come back to this side of the house, it feels markedly different.
Yeah, well, it's fair enough. I mean, for many people, taking on the improvement of a whole house in one go is just too disruptive, too expensive. So doing a bit at a time, as long as you think about it and you plan it and it works together as a package, that's great, because that's realistic. I mean, you'd have to say that on the scale of Swindon, you need area grants and the whole council, so, you know, infrastructure programs to really tackle these problems on the scale. But in the short term, people, you are blazing a trail of finding out what works, what doesn't work. So the result, 10.6. Now we need to figure out where you can do stuff about it, which is a job of inspecting, looking, finding where the leaks are happening. So we turn the fan around so it's pumping air out the front door, so it's sucking air in through the cold spots, and we can go around and look for them. And I'm sure a lot of them you'll know. They won't be a surprise. Well, it's the ones that are unusual or unexpected, that's the real value. So, I mean, in here, it's obvious. You can feel it. You don't need
your hair dried?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like standing under a cold shower.
Yeah. It's funny, I hadn't noticed this.
So we've got leakage on the electric cable coming down to the shower. You've also got along this edge of this timber boarding.
Right. Yeah.
And that carries on round. You see the crack across the top of the airing cupboard, is it? Whatever it is.
Well, I see it now, but I hadn't seen it before. Yeah.
You see
yeah,
there?
right. Gosh.
The loft hatch itself, which is painted in, isn't very leaky, but look at the wall, look at the cold blue on the wall there. It's huge.
Right. So that's cold air trapped behind those wooden boards?
Well, yeah.
Effectively?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. If I did the 10 wee things in this room, well, the big thing that it would raise the level of the house to sort of okay.
I doubt it.
No.
It's, you know, it's one room in quite a lot of house.
Okay, right.
But what it would do is make this room much more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, basically, warm air rises, so it's going straight out of there.
Yeah.
If you heat this room, it's going to take a lot of heat and it's going to lose quickly. If you stop the heat escaping, this room's more comfortable.
Yeah.
If you're going to do one thing in this house, do that. That's the first thing to do.
Okay.
That's the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, okay.
Around the boarding, much more of an issue. The boiler flue shouldn't be hard to do.
Yeah. Well, look at the windows.
The back edge of that windowsill wouldn't take much to do.
Yeah.
The window itself, that's much harder.
I must make this room a project. I'll make this room a project. Yeah. This is before we get to the other room, but I'm making this room a project.
All right, Joe. Well, let's move on then. So we have a major leak on this top corner of this window. Where the blue cold air is coming in, the spot temperature is significantly lower than the rest of the window, and especially the ceiling above it. 3 degrees difference. You can see daylight here, where the window is not closing fully or effectively. So lots of air leakage across the top edge of the wooden panelling, some through the joints, and we come down this side. So we've tested this house, we've measured the air tightness, we've been round and inspected it, checked for places that are leaking, and although this house has had quite a lot of work done, it's still worse than current building regulations. So there's considerable scope for improvement, and many hundreds, thousands of other houses in and around Swindon need at least the same amount of work doing. And the beauty of this sort of testing, this sort of inspection, it informs our choices. It means we don't waste money. We do proper works, proper improvement works to cut down fuel costs, to improve comfort, and give our residents, give our people living in these homes a better life. We need to get on with it. Time is short. We're in a climate emergency. There is no time to waste.